Hi guys, Emilie Knight here. How's it going? I'm doing a book review today on The Burning White by Brent Weeks. I have some words about this, not all good words, but kind of a long tangent in regards to, you know what, let me info dump first. This book kind of likes that. There's some tangents. There's some tangents, please bear with me. I have words. Also, fun fact, we have a guest today because you guys can't see her, but there is a little cat behind me. Oh, don't move, honey. This is Alice. The back of the chair is her favorite spot, so I don't want to move her. Okay, so The Burning White by Brent Weeks is the final installment in the Lightbringer series, which has been a great thrill ride the entire time. The magic system is great, the characters are great. Honestly, if you love anything with a good hard magic system, this story is definitely for you because the people can basically control colors within light and how each color does its own special thing. Chances are, if you're watching a book review on the last one, you know how that works already. But still, it's honestly like the selling point of this series, I think, is just the magic system. The next selling point would be the characters. The characters are great. I love Kip, I love Gavin, Dazin, I love them both. Well, no. I love Dazin. I'll explain more in a bit in regards to names. I love Dazin and I love Karis. I don't love Androskyle, but you're not really supposed to. He's like the Tywin Lannister of the group. Oh, the cat's moving. So yeah, the characters are definitely a big plus in this. Small problem though is that there's a lot of characters you do need to remember. A lot of characters, and there's a lot of side characters that are mentioned as well. Some you don't always meet, but also a lot of characters within the history of this world that they always talk about as well. The main characters are great, but there's a lot of side characters with their own tangents and their own histories that you're gonna learn almost all of them. So get used to people and their names. Luckily, there's a glossary system in the back, but there's a lot of people to keep track of. So I think my first gripe with this last book at the moment has been how long it's taking me to read this, because I started it 3 months ago, and it normally doesn't take me that long to finish a book. And I've almost never had to take breaks while reading a book to read something else. But I did with this one to step away from it for a little while just because it was taking me so long to get through it. There's a lot of tangents, there's a lot of history that this book still throws at you, there's a lot of world building elements that it still throws at you in book 5. And while it's interesting, it's taking away, I think, from the main plot of things and the main battle they're supposed to be in and the main development of all these characters. Except Kip, because all of these tangents are meant to help Kip and what he's learning. From here on out, it is going to be mostly spoilers because I know I'm going to accidentally say something that is a spoiler that I don't want it ruined to everyone. I'll put it in the title and description and everything as well, that this is like a spoilery review, even if I didn't mention it in the beginning. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, in regards to just how long this book took me, it's a long book in general. It's almost 1,000 pages. It's like 913 pages with a little bonus chapter at the end, so it's like 922, I think. And it takes a long time to get to this final climactic battle that we were like building up to the entire time of this book. And when the battle does happen, it's also very long. The battle alone is like 200 pages, but it's worth it. This final battle is finally worth it because the things that happen in that final battle are great. Mostly. The biggest issue I have with it is again, spoilers, the wonderful happy ending. It's too happy. It's too much of a happy ending, mainly because the main character, Kip, I've loved everything about him so far, all of his development, all of his final realizations at the end of this battle of like what he can do and just the self-respect and self-pride he can hold about himself. It's amazing. And then he dies at that point, and it is so good. It is so impactful. The things he's doing while being burned alive. It's great. Honestly, it was one of the best scenes in the entire story. And then it's reversed a little bit because yes, it's still there. Yes, his self-realization and pride is still there. But the impact for the reader is gone when he comes back to life. I wasn't exactly happy when the main character comes back to life, and that's not a good thing. I know that's not a good thing. I was so annoyed that we had this wonderful, big, impactful moment, and it's the final battle, and we lose the main character, we lose Kip, but it's a final battle. I was kind of expecting something like that to happen anyway, and then it's ripped away from us. I feel bad saying I wish he had stayed dead, but I wish he did. Also, again, still spoilery, in regards to the weird pacing that was like, one, too long, had a lot of tangents, and this final battle that had like 200 pages by itself, which was good, other than that one Kip incident, I don't know what to call it. The main final battle with the big antagonist, the White King, he's dead in like a page and a half. Not even. He's introduced in like a page and a half when Karis finally confronts him, which is cool. I'm glad it was her who confronts him. But then, half a page, there's a couple of moves from both of them, and then she stabs him with the blinding knife, which was really cool, because all the Luxon like sucked into him. But then he's panicking, which is cool. He's panicking because all of his power is like gone. And then he jumps off this tower that he made. And then that's it. That's it. The big scary White King, who we met a few books back, who we knew about this entire time, had a few like cool interactions with him with other characters. And then he panics and jumps off a building. I'm sorry, that was anticlimactic for me. That wasn't satisfying. And I feel bad because I wish it was satisfying, because I do like how that scene did carry out with like Karis confronting him, and I like how it was meant to play out. And I like how Dazen swooped in and helped Karis in the end. He helped deliver the blinding knife. That was exciting. But I just wish the standoff was a little longer. Which is funny because everything else in this book has been so long. Like I said, 200 pages of just one final battle, and the main guy dies in like half a page. You couldn't have given us like 10 pages or like 5 pages of some like back and forth brotherly sister banter of them like really getting at each other. It could have been a battle that really got under Karis' skin, and it didn't. Okay, on a more positive note, I love everything that Gavin did. Gavin's entire story going through the entire thing of him climbing the spire to meet Orholam himself, to facing down his own sins and everything he's done and all of his character development. It was great. I loved his struggle. I love everything he was going through at the top of that tower. I like how we met Orholam at the end. I didn't really think it was actually going to happen, but I liked how it did. And I like how he really had to face all of his sins, I guess, and the way he really treated people. He really realized how much of a not quite good person he was, but also how he didn't see himself as a good person, even though he actually was. He did so many great things for the greater good of others, but he kept sacrificing so much of himself, he no longer saw the good within himself. So while, like, all of the scenes of him at the top of this tower facing just himself and God, or Orholam, it was great. That was such a good self-realization, self-characterization scene for Gavin, to the point where he chooses his own real name again. He chooses to be Dazen rather than Gavin. And I think that's a good moment for him. That was a good ending for him. I'm glad he didn't die. And I'm glad it didn't do the switcheroo of, yeah, killing him off, but then, no, he's okay, he comes back. I'm glad that didn't happen. I liked where Gavin's stories ended, and I like where Dazen's story ended. I like how we ended up with Karis, that was all fine. I liked Karis throughout the entire thing. Karis was amazing. So in regards to the other characters, though, I liked all of the side characters. There was a lot of them. I liked Kip's band of friends. They were all great. And Cruxer was my favorite, and I was actually sad when he died. But his is the only death that felt impactful to me. Like I said, with this final battle lasting 200 pages, and it's the big final climax, no one important, no big main characters die. Kip, what I think was supposed to, but then he came back. So that was taken away. That took away a good impact for the reader, I think. There wasn't any risk in this final battle because everyone came out okay. Even Tia, who drank fucking poison while taking out the Order of the Broken Eye, which was cool. Anyway, getting a little ahead of myself as well. Anyway, Andros Guile, I don't like how his story ended. I like how Gavin, Dazen, had to realize so much about himself and learn to build upon it to work to make himself a better person. He knows, Dazen knows, it's not going to be an easy thing to help right himself, to help right some wrongs within himself. Andros Guile doesn't deserve the same kind of treatment, I think. He was constantly this awful manipulator, just this cruel person who just always took advantage of people and just messed with their heads, not trusting anyone, barely even trusting his own family. The only one he did trust was his wife, which, okay, yeah, I'll give him that one redeeming quality. He honestly did trust and love his wife. But everything else he did, everything else, the way he treated his own kids in a way, just the passive aggressiveness of this man, it's like, I don't even know how to really explain it because I don't have the vocabulary for this kind of thing, but it's like Tywin Lannister turning to Tyrion going, yeah, I know I was a dick your entire childhood, but we're cool now, right? Like, no! That's not how that works. Yes, you probably do feel very bad about the things you had to do to like become who you are, to gain the position that you're at now in life. But that doesn't mean you should be redeemed or forgiven for all of the horrible things you caused for a lot of people. I am not buying Andros Guile's happy ending. There's one more thing that I'm gonna kind of gripe on that isn't really a huge deal, but annoyed me, is that why were the immortals there? Why was there this there was this cool race of like immortal angels and demons also fighting in the background during their whole war, having their own conflicts. And yes, they were cool, but they didn't really need to be there. They really didn't, they didn't need to be there. And for a while I really was annoyed that they were there, because it was like a Deus Ex Machina situation. But then the thing my brain connected it to though was the story of Troy, told by Homer in his story, the Iliad. I know not everyone has like seen or even heard of that story really, but there was an old movie about it with Brad Pitt playing Achilles, Sean Bean playing Odysseus. That was cool. So there is this grand epic movie that you can find just called Troy. It's good. The Greek gods, also, I'll mention that. It's the Greek gods, because the Greek gods are always getting up into their own shit with their own, like, mortals. They're just always causing things. But in the story of Troy, the gods are intervening as well, all the time. That's just what they do. So my classical brain kind of connected it to that, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like Zeus or Ares kind of coming in to help out. That's cool. So I got used to their presence within the final battle, so I didn't mind the big Deus Ex Machina at the end of it. Yeah, I personally didn't mind the Deus Ex Machinas at the end of the story because my brain connected it to all of the Greek influences that may or may not be actually pulled from it. This might just be my own interpretation of it, but it helped me like the ending a little better. But still, even with that in mind, the Immortals didn't really need to be there. I get why Arholem was there, why the big god boss man was there. That was cool. But there's hundreds upon thousands of other immortal dudes as well doing their own stories and war in the background. Because I don't really know why. I hope this isn't too much of like a rant video because it's going on a little long for me, but that's okay. I'm just kind of regurgitating all of my thoughts out, I suppose. So ending on a positive note for this story, because there are positives about the story. The Burning White was an amazing read. It just took me a long time to get through it. I do recommend this series as well, all of these, to anyone who's into really cool magic systems, really like high-end fantasy systems, a lot of world building, get used to that. But then again, as fantasy lovers, we're kind of used to Tolkien and Martin of just like going into every intricate detail of every single family. This does the same thing, so get used to that. And it's good. The characters are good, the plot is really good. So yes, I ranted for a good little bit, but the story is honestly good. I basically give the ending of it though like 3 stars rather than a big grand 5 or something. But that's just in regards to my personal opinions that I kind of ranted out here for a bit. I hope you don't mind. So yeah, feel free to subscribe or share anything that you're interested in. And actually, in regards to any other Brent Weeks fans out there, have you read his Night Angel trilogy? Because I did a long time ago, probably like 10 years ago now, and I'd like to reread those. Even regardless of how this one ended, I want to reread those ones because they are more grimdark, and I really want to get into more like grimdark stuff. So if you know any other grimdark recommendations, definitely let me know. I'll definitely read those too because I want more of that in my life right now. And this wasn't grimdark, but that's okay. This is a good high-end fantasy with a really cool magic system if you're into that kind of thing. I know I am. I love magic, so that's why I did enjoy this with the characters, even if I had a few gripes around the end of it. But that's totally fine. So yeah, I'm still ranting. I'm still rambling. I'm sorry. Feel free to subscribe if you're interested. I share videos every Fridays, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.